So welcome everybody, happy International Women's Day, and welcome to our webinar on unlocking potential, empowering African women in STEM. My name is Beth Eden. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the QS Impact Charity, and it is an honor to be able to host a session on International Women's Day with two incredible panelists. I've been reading all about their work this morning, and I think they are brilliant role models for you all to listen in to, and to hopefully pursue a career and education opportunities in STEM. So I'm just going to pass on to the next slide here. Why is STEM really important? Well, STEM talks about science, technology, engineering, and math fields. And these types of fields are generally very, very underpopulated by young people, young women. So young women often only 30% of women actually populate the fields in education for STEM. And in the workforce, only about 20% of women are in the workforce for STEM. So the other 80% is men in STEM careers. So we're very aware that there is a need to push and influence and help young women to advance themselves in the STEM fields. So I'm just going to point to the next slide here through Krisha. And so today's webinar will all be about African women in STEM. We have an incredible scholarship, and we have an opportunity for learning through one of our young community members, who I'll be telling you a little bit more about in a minute. So as you're joining in, please do pop in the chat where you're coming in from today. We're an incredible, diverse, global community. Myself, I'm calling in from Sheffield in the United Kingdom. My name is Beth Eden, and I run the charity of QS Impact. Everybody is so welcome here, and it's amazing to have you as part of this community. So you might be wondering, who is QS Impact? Well, QS Impact is a global charity of young leaders around the world. We're accredited to the United Nations Environment Programme, and we are all about growing and recognizing young people for their social impact in the world and in their societies. So the way that we do this is we work with universities, organizations, and communities worldwide to develop talent in young people, which is knowledge and capacity, and eventually allowing them to lead into impactful careers to allow them to impact their community through regeneration. The way that we recognize young people, and one of the things that we'll be focusing specifically on today, is scholarships, a really big opportunity to open doors for education, especially for women in STEM. So we'll be speaking more about that today. We do offer other opportunities to be recognized, such as our annual Impact Awards, which will be taking in place in a very exciting location, soon to be announced in February of 2025. Anyone who uploads an impact report this year is eligible, and we offer badges and recognition certificates through your work that you're doing on the ground in your communities. How are you eligible for all these experiences? We encourage you to upload an impact report. So the QR code is here. If this is cut off for you as well, you can just go on qsimpact.com.org, and you can upload an impact report with us. An impact report is a project or an initiative or something you have done in your community to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals or sustainability issues on the ground. And there are so many examples of this today. I'm sure our speakers can speak a lot about what they've done in their communities and in their careers to advance themselves. So you may be wondering about our name. Who is QS? QS is the company that supports us as the charity, a huge brand that works in higher education. They are passionate for over 30 years working to enable motivated people around the world to fulfill their potential in education and advance themselves internationally and through career development. And the brand of QS Impact was born back in 2012, and since evolved and merged with QS in 2020 with a common mission to work towards empowering young people for education and career advancement. And this is through also the merging of the QS Trust, which houses all of our scholarships, which is now called QS Impact. Zoya, our head of partnerships, will be sharing more today about our scholarships and our opportunities, and you'll have a chance to ask any questions at the end as well. But this is a really important way that we are able to showcase young people like yourself and get you to open up educational doors to be recognized for your impact in your communities. So you might be wondering the theme of today, and I would just like to take this one moment to say a very special story and share a very impactful part of our work at QS Impact. So we are officially launching, as of this year, the Bukola STEM Scholarship for Women in Africa in commemoration of the life and the legacy of this very cherished community member, Bukola. And Bukola has been in our community for numerous years. She was the president of the Nigeria Council, and our councils are youth groups on the ground in either universities or communities that are advancing sustainability issues and working from the bottom up. This scholarship is therefore dedicated for African women who seek to pursue studies in STEM, so that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, and really embodies the spirit all about Bukola, which is about dedication, compassion, and service for underprivileged communities across Africa. Bukola was an incredible young person. She was a change maker. She had unwavering commitment for her community, and she always put people before herself. She really, really had a passion for the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and advanced this across Nigeria. And I want to focus on one specific thing she did. Her passion for empowering women was promoted through establishing a Mums in Tech platform so that other mums could have programming classes and mentorship while they were still staying at home with their babies and could allow themselves to serve underserved communities. Unfortunately, we lost Bukola just in 2022, May of 2022, and she's leaving behind a huge legacy of compassion and service for her community. And we want to really empower the next generation to be young women like Bukola. Unfortunately, she lost her life in childbirth, and we want to continue that legacy. So we really encourage everyone who's listening here today to apply for our scholarship. And Zoya will be sharing more about what that's about and how to be eligible as well. So we have some incredible speakers today, and I want to say a big thank you to them and introduce you to these women who are really advancing STEM in their communities and in their different realms of work. So we have Dr. Millicent Agangiba, and she is the head of the Department of Information Technology at the University of Professional Studies in Accra, and is also the executive director of Inclusive Tech Group, a non-for-profit organization advancing digital accessibility for vulnerable people, especially persons with disabilities. She's won many different awards and is really a role model for young people in this space. So I'll get her to introduce herself in just a minute. And then the second incredible speaker is Sharon. So Sharon Onyango is a landscape planner and urban climate scientist. I just met Sharon actually at the United Nations Environment Assembly last week and was absolutely just drawn to her energy and her light. She holds a Master's of Science degree in landscape planning and conservation with a major in urban and climate. And has studied in Kenya and won many various international awards for her work in sustainability and technology and science. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Dr. Millicent Agangiba to share a little bit about herself, first and foremost, and then we'll go to the question in just a minute. Dr. Agangiba, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm Millicent Agangiba and head of Department Information Technology with the University of Professional Studies. And aside academia, I do a lot also on the side with Inclusive Tech Group, that is a non-for-profit organization. And our interest is into more of disability tech advocacy, advocating for the digital rights of persons with disability to make sure that in the era of digitalization, they can have an even playing ground and also be able to get equal opportunities as everyone. So for everyone from the disability community, especially the visually impaired, just to say this morning, it's morning Accra here. in more of an African print. Coffee, it has a touch of brown and white. Yes, with a nice black tube inside. Short hair, natural African hair, and I'm wearing spectacles, and this is how I'm looking, just for you to have a feel of what we've been discussing. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Angangiba, and sharing a little bit about yourself and your culture as well. I love that. I'm going to go straight into the question and then I'm going to pass over to Sharon to answer her side as well. But I'd like to ask you and start the panel here with this question to you first. How do you think we can create a more supportive ecosystem to empower other African women in STEM in the fields of education and careers?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So, I think once we begin to talk about STEM and women, sometimes people want to look at issue of numbers, but it's not just about numbers, it's about the untapped potential, about the a kind of overlook perspective, right? Because women, we bring different perspective into the space of engineering that sometimes men will not look at. And so we don't have to emphasize so much on the numbers, but we have to look at the untapped potential. I think that should be very crucial for all of us. Historically, we know, especially within our African setting, that there are a lot of barriers for us as women who want to venture into STEM or who are in STEM. It's very traditional, especially in Ghana here, when you talk about engineering. It's getting better. That's why I said traditionally, they will say, well, it's going to take you a lot of time. When are you going to give birth and have a family and have time to take care of the family? Because the understanding is that it's going to take a lot of time away from you. And so given the background that we have already, it means that there is a lot more to do when we are advocating for women to go into STEM. We have to be able to create that enabling environment that they can thrive very well and they can compete fairly. And so I would say that, first of all, one thing that can help is for us to provide um, deliberately policies that can support women, right? So I am in academia and I have had instances, I had to even attend conferences and I'm breastfeeding, and the people organizing the conference, they don't think about anything like somebody has to breastfeed. And sure, because women were not part of the planning, I'm very sure about that. So we need to always be deliberate when we are planning. We need to put in place those policies into our planning that can help women to also thrive very well. When you go to a lot of institutions, and again, being academia most of my years, today we're talking about scholarships to support women. So you realize that they are talking of research fund for young researchers, and then you hear something like the cutoff is like 40, right? And they want a person to have had PhD and have this number of years of experience. And then I'm wondering, if you take typically an African woman, when will she be done with PhD, handle family, have this number of years of experience, and would not pass 40 years and will be eligible to apply for such a fund? So automatically you are cut off, even though you have the potential to do that research, right? And I think because they don't factor in some of these specific issues and challenges that women have. And so again, the aspect of funding becomes a challenge because you look at the age cutoff and it's not really working for you. 30, and that 30, maybe you are busy with kids running around and they want you to go to a very far place for research, yet there is no funding to support you to go with your children, and you feel like there is no need for me to do this. And so many a times, yes, we want to take a decision that would propel us to the next height, but then again, we are also looking back and we're thinking about family. And so we have to get deliberate policies that can support women in that regard so that women can also compete fairly. I'll also say that we have to have a change of attitude in terms of societal and cultural stereotyping. And this is what can help women who especially are in leadership roles. Like I'm here as a head of department, and 80% are male colleagues who are lecturers under me. And so if they have a mindset that, oh, I'm a female, anything a female says, it's not something you should take serious, how are we going to work? So then it becomes a bit more difficult when a woman is in a leadership role. You get all this kind of stereotyping. You have people trying to rebel against the authority just because you are a woman, so that you are not able to achieve your set goals. Perhaps you be looked at as a failure. And when we even discuss issue of bias, I want to emphasize I'm a person with physical disability, and it's because of polio, which occurred when I was 5 years. So if we talk about bias against women in terms of gender, then again, if you have a disability, for me, it looks like you're double disadvantaged, right? And so there is a lot of pressure on you to just do extraordinary things so that people recognize you. And I should say it's not fair. It's put a lot of burden on that individual. We all want to be recognized by what we do and be appreciated for what we do, but it shouldn't look like somebody should do extraordinary things to be recognized. So again, the societal and cultural stereotyping, deliberate effort to make sure that various institutions discourage that, they support women who are in leadership role. I think it's very important so that they become like inspiration to other young and up and coming female, because when they see that women are always the ones at the bottom, they are never given the opportunity to lead. I think it discourages a lot of young people, and they don't see why they should venture into those fields. And for those who are now getting into education, definitely they need a lot of mentorship as well. And so I personally, I act and I volunteer in so many mentorship programs, especially at the junior secondary school and senior secondary school level, where we do a lot of advocacy programs to encourage young girls to go into STEM. And sometimes we have this kind of argument. People, especially in Ghana here, saying that, well, for them to go into STEM, we have to create special STEM schools for girls. And I have a different opinion to that. I think we should be together with the guys. We don't want to challenge them, but to compete, because female and men, everyone have different perspectives. When we learn together with them, I think we're able to also understand their perspective. And so setting up only STEM school for girls, I don't think it's the way to go. And as much as we want to provide mentorship for them, but together with their male counterparts, so that they can also appreciate the kind of talent and the innovation when they co-create together with their male counterpart, which I think it's very important. So for the young ones, I think mentorship, more of mentorship, giving them guidance to make sure that they appreciate the opportunities that are in STEM, and then they are also able to get a confidence to study. Because many a times what we struggle with is what we call the leaky pipes. As in at the basic level, we do a whole lot of mentorship, and then we see they get an interest. Secondary school level, they are offering science. And then before they get to the tertiary, so many people fall on the side. And starting career, a lot of people start their career absolutely in non-STEM fields. And so we need to find a way to also bridge that gap, making sure that consistent mentorship, they begin with the sciences, they are interested in STEM because they got some sort of mentorship from the beginning. We don't stop even in their early part of their careers. We can also offer a mentorship to them and guidance so that they can know how to advance in that space. I think that will encourage a lot of more females to continue to pursue STEM. So for now, I think that's what I want to share for my side. Yeah, I'll bring it more later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Agangiba, because I learned a lot from that session, and I'm sure a lot of our young people too. You talked a lot about the tools that we need, such as policy, to support this type of work. But the one thing that I took as well from what you said is the interdisciplinary approach that universities could take so that they're not siloing STEM types of careers and making sure that it's integrated into everything we do so that it's a part of the process. And so we're not siloing young women and that type of field to be, over there in the other faculty, but actually including it as part of the general process in the university or in a career space. So that was really lovely. And I also must say that the mentorship part is really, really important for young people. We're really big on this as well as QS Impact, and it's a part of our community that we feel that young people should co-mentor each other and to be there for each other. And I think it's a really important thing that you mentioned. And let's tie on that a little bit more in our Q&A section. For the time being, I would love to hear a little bit more from Sharon. Dr. Agangiba also talked about careers. So, Sharon, would you be able to answer the question about as well about how we can create a more supportive ecosystem to empower more women in STEM in education, and maybe focusing specifically on careers? But first and foremost, do introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about your career path as well.
Thank you, Beth, for having me here. Such a great, powerful insights from Dr. Millicent. And just a bit of introduction about myself. I'm a landscape planner and urban climate scientist from Kenya. I'm in Nairobi, Kenya right now. So for over 5 years, I've engaged in different researches, still within the urban climate and within the urbanization, sustainable urbanization sector. So some of this cut across the urban heat island, microclimate modeling, finding nature-based solutions for climate resilience, and perhaps maybe just to mention, maybe green spaces mapping and the new concept that has come up right now known as the placemaking. So we do this also in the informal settlements, just for them to also get a feel of what other areas within the urban sector also are used to. So maybe just to tackle the question on how we can create a supportive ecosystem for African women. So maybe just to start with, today is really a great day to be able to just celebrate this day. And the fact that the theme is on inspiring inclusion, I personally feel like this is very significant in celebrating our diversity as women and also the contributions that we bring to promote diversity. So as researchers, let me speak as a researcher, and maybe for all of us as researchers or people who are looking to get into research, these days clearly a reminder of how imperative it is to promote gender equality and social inclusion, both in our academic work and beyond. And I also feel like this day presents opportunities to reflect on the progress that has already been made by people who came before us, while still recognizing the work that still lies ahead that we are as researchers are doing, and also people who will be coming later after us are also doing. So in terms of STEM, as you mentioned earlier, despite despite women being half of the population, only about 20% are within STEM, and these include so in Kenya alone, female engineers I think are about 8%. Urban planners and architects make about 5 to 7%. So please let me know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I think your internet's come back. You're good. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this percentage is still a bit low, but progressively it has improved over time, and it has been attributed to gender bias, lack of representation, limited access to different resources, and also particularly access to completion of tertiary education. So the best way, what exactly we can do to disrupt the status quo, just to build on where Dr. Millicent had left, is providing access to resources and opportunities. So this basically targeting the pre-tertiary education, because you find that most of the students, sometimes they just study, but they don't know exactly what they're going to be doing in the tertiary, for instance, in your universities. So in high school, yes, they are studying, but they have no guidance, so they have no particular opportunities that can actually help them build their competencies, for instance, in mathematics, science, digital literacies, and such. So having access to this then will ensure that there's equitable distribution of, for instance, educational resources, the scholarships like the ones you're now going to launch today, provision of internships. An example probably I would give is the Connected African Girls Initiative. This was actually launched in 2020, and so far it has helped more than 25,000 girls get trained on artificial intelligence, coding, and such. So secondly, I would probably talk about mentorship programs. I'm personally a product of good mentorship, because without mentorship, when you have mentorship, then you have someone to hold your hand, and it makes this for you, because these mentorships can either be in high schools or within the workplaces. So just trying to pair different mentors and mentees based on their themes or their areas of interest then would really be great in promoting STEM within Africa for Africa women. And still bringing back to issues of policies, as Dr. Millicent mentioned, just to also add on to it, most workplaces do not have family-friendly policies. So then this would discourage many women. And you find that there's a workshop I actually attended recently for engineers, and most of the experts or the practitioners who are men were like, during undergraduate, then you will find so many ladies joining, but then after that, proceeding to masters and PhD levels, then you would find zero or very few. And this is because most of the workplaces are not have no family-friendly policies. So maybe also just to add again is to encourage early exposure to STEM. So when you introduce these concepts at an early stage to the girls within Africa, then also include it, for instance, in the extracurricular activities or community initiatives, then it will spark interest and also build their confidence in joining the STEM field, particularly them being young African girls. And these will actually also sort of shift paradigms of the existing stereotypes that the male-dominated fields then cannot be joined by women. And maybe lastly, I would think about supporting entrepreneurship and leadership. So most of the times, we find that the work environment or the entrepreneurship fields then is still also filled with so many, still dominated by a lot of men. So when we provide perhaps training for the women and also to give them resources, then they can also start their own. I'm personally a founder of a startup, and this was through the mentorship I got and the support. Actually, it was both training and financial support that we got. And then now we were able to get it from a stage, from an idea stage to an MVP, and now it's a full startup. And I would probably give an example of a leadership training that I attended, which is the Young African Leadership Initiative. I think it's also in West Africa. I attended the East African one. This actually getting opportunities to attend such trainings then would really, really help us get forward in getting more women into leadership, into STEM, and also into trying to build their own entrepreneurship spaces and skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing as well a bit about your experience, and congratulations on your startup. I know how hard it is to have a startup, so that's brilliant in this space. Dr. Millicent, was there anything you'd like to add? Anyone else like to add? No? We'll go to a Q&A section at the end of the session today. So if anyone has any questions for our panelists, I'm certainly itching with some as well. Please just bear with us for 10 more minutes. It has been incredibly insightful and we really value your time. So thank you both for coming and to speak to us about the pathways for STEM and ways to open up better support systems for other young women across Africa. So please have a little think, everybody who's listening here, of some questions, write them in the chat and we'll be back in 10 minutes. I'm just going to pass over now to Zoya. Zoya is our head of partnerships at QS Impact, and she also helps to manage the scholarship portfolio at QS Impact, between QS Impact and QS. And she'll be telling us a little bit about what you need to apply and answer any questions you may have. So over to you, Zoya. Are you here? Zoya.
Thank you, Beth. Yes, I am indeed. So just maybe one minor request, if you can stop sharing for a second, refresh the deck and start sharing then again. And hello, everyone. Hello from London. I'm wearing multiple hats in my work and outside of work life. So I'm innovation manager at QS, company behind the World University Rankings and governmental strategies for higher education, many other wonderful things. And I'm also head of partnerships at QS Impact Charity. Plus, I serve as a secretary at the UN Prime Working Group on Climate Change and Environment. I've been a part of scholarship project since 2005. So if we go to the next slide, a little bit of a background where we're coming from with the whole scholarship story. QS has been donating from $50,000 to $70,000 per year since 2003 to amazing young people from around the world. And all our scholarships are merit-based. We have the winners coming from over 80 countries. And on the next slide, we can see what type of scholarships we're offering today. And everybody's welcome to apply. Or if you are representing a university or another educational institution, I hope that Dr. Agangiba and Onyango will be sharing it for their networks as well. These scholarships are open for any young person who qualifies, who is applying to study, and I'd like to highlight, to start the new program in the upcoming academic year. So we're now in March, so that will be either September 24 or January 25. And also has done something impactful, something amazing in their lives. Now, what we've noticed that quite often young people are already doing something for their communities, but the storytelling is not always there. So they are shy, they don't know how to share their stories. And sometimes they feel, oh, but that's just a little thing, you know, together with my pals, we go to clean the park nearby. That's not too important. Everything counts. So in order to inspire this storytelling, in order to also inspire other young people to know how to highlight their impact on communities, we're running the scholarships. And on the next slide, you'll see the requirements that any applicant has to meet in order to qualify. So let's look into the new scholarship that we're offering starting from this year. And Beth has already shared the story behind it. The lady on the right is not Bukola. She was at the previous slide when Beth was talking. So the scholarships that we have all have pretty standard requirements. You have to have at least one live QS Impact report on qsimpact.org. What does it mean? That you've done something wonderful and then you come and you tell the world about it. And you tell us how many people were impacted, what exactly you've done, you share photos, so on and so forth. Now, because it sometimes takes time between you're submitting the impact report and then it being validated and coming out on the website, we would strongly encourage all the applicants to submit the impact report as early as possible, so that when the deadline of 30th April comes, you already have it live guaranteed. Now, for the scholarships, you might have noticed that we have some scholarships for undergrad programs, some scholarships are for masters, and others are for MBA. Anything to do with undergrad and master level studies, deadline is 30th April. All MBA scholarships have deadline on the 31st May, so slightly more time. And another requirement is that all the candidates, except for the undergraduate, have to attend a QS student recruitment fair. So it can be in your country, it can be a virtual one. You can find the schedule of upcoming events on topuniversities.com, the main website where all the events are listed. And if you meet these two criteria, then please, we love your stories. Send us an essay answering the question that each of the scholarships ask. So quite often we're being asked by young people, oh, can I apply for more than one scholarship? And the answer is absolutely yes. If you qualify, if you meet the requirements, and also you have to answer the question of each scholarships. They're different. You can't copy paste because in this case you won't be answering. We also strongly encourage not to use ChatGPT because it literally takes probably about like 30 to 60 seconds to recognize whether it's an original story or whether it's been, how shall I put it politely, helped with. But every applicant is welcome to apply for the relevant scholarship. And the winners are usually announced end of June, early July, so that there is still enough time for the applicants to confirm which of the programs they will be enrolling and sort out all the paperwork. Now, in terms of the application process, our scholarships do not depend on the educational institution you're joining or on the program. So obviously for Bukola STEM Scholarship, you have to study STEM, but it doesn't matter which university of the world or which particular subject area or which degree. What we do require, though, when you have been shortlisted based on your essay, you have to present a proof of acceptance. So proof of acceptance into the program is required to confirm that you will be able to get the scholarship. And the scholarship is, as I've mentioned, merit-based and goes to your university account. So we cannot transfer money to your personal account, but we will transfer the money to your university's account, so they will go towards your tuition fee. There are many more other, tips and secrets, how to write a successful scholarship essay, how to apply, what are the questions you want to ask marketing and admissions people during the interview to impress them. But I think I will stop here now. I believe that's the last slide I am covering. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the scholarships, or go and attend the QS fairs and ask these very same questions to our team on the ground, or go and also engage with university and business school representatives who will be there, because not only you will be able to apply for our scholarship, you will be able to apply to many more other scholarships within individual institutions. And Beth, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zoya. I'll just add here in at the end as well, if you join one of our councils, you can volunteer to take part and present potentially at these fairs. It's a really great opportunity to build your leadership skills, presentation skills, and also then help to mentor other young women or young boys in your spaces as well. So our council recruitment starts on March 18th. If you're interested in starting a council in your local university or community, this might be a great leadership opportunity for you. Does anybody have any questions? So maybe you have a question for one of our speakers or for Zoya about scholarships. I encourage you to put it in the chat and I will try to pull forward to the right person. So the chat box is just below and encourage everybody to ask a question. For the time being, while I'm waiting for the next question to come in, there is a curious query from our team as well that Dr. Agangiba or Sharon as well can maybe answer, is what is the most in-demand STEM fields right now, and where are you seeing kind of gaps in the market where potentially our young people might be able to apply for a position or advance themselves when they're post-education ready to enter the workforce? Dr. Agangiba, do you have any insights or anything you'd like to share there?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say maybe not because I'm in tech field, but I'll say the tech field. The tech field is one area that it's really dynamic, but with a lot of opportunity for females, especially with modern technologies, as we know, artificial intelligence, whether predictive or generative AI, a whole lot is happening in that space. But not only that, one will have to learn tech as standalone. If you want to do that, that is fine, but also combine it with other fields. So idea of artificial intelligence today is needed in whether you are learning transport and logistics, whether you learning biomedicine, so it's needed in a lot of fields. So you can have that extra knowledge and then apply it in another field altogether, which is not the tech space. But otherwise, I would say that the tech field is very green for every young female. And it doesn't matter the particular STEM field that you find yourself, it's good that you learn something because the digital kind of rule the world, and then add that so that you can improve upon your digital set skills. And I believe that Sharon will agree with me. Even in landscaping today, they are changing a lot because of technology. So I'm sure she can add something to that to encourage the young ladies here.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I share the same sentiments with Dr. Millicent. The STEM industry has been at the forefront of innovation, like for the past 2 decades, especially the aftermath of COVID, just to try and embrace and enhance, the rapid global recovery. So in all the fields, even learning AI, learning programming, and such, because despite of the field that you're in, you might be a mathematician, then you will still need the programming language. So innovation and the technological sector, I think there's been quite a huge advancement. And I think for every woman, we need to start learning the basics, even if it's just programming using Python, using R, then really, regardless of your field, regardless of if you're an engineer, a planner, still they're really, really relevant. Thank you.
Great points here about transferable skills. I think that's really important as well, as we can see many industries changing and adapting. I know this as well because I studied sustainability before sustainability seemed to have been a thing, and now everybody is in sustainability fields with different skill sets that are not necessarily completely tailored to sustainability, but those skill sets are needed in those realms of work. Everybody has a unique skill set that is needed for the climate agenda, for the, the women's movement and things like that. So it's really good that you mentioned about transferable skills, especially in tech. We have a question here from Hillary. I'm not sure if you both have read it in the chat, but we'll do our best, Hillary, to answer it. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you here. So his question is, as a sustainability leader, which local-led women's projects can help towards net positive impact in relation to safeguarding and protection of water resources in marginalized communities? Do you have any examples of women-led projects that protect water resources in marginalized communities? Very specific question, so no problem if you can't answer that. Sharon or Millicent, anything come to mind?
I mean, I will expect Sharon will take it first. I mean, she's close to the land, landscaping, land mapping, everything land. So Sharon, you just get started and I add up.
You're on the spot, Sharon.
Thank you. Maybe just to share just a little from my experience with the women in the marginalized communities. In Kenya, most of these women come from the northern region. And in terms of safeguarding water, they have really limited access to water. So some of them, some of them have developed different community-based water management initiatives. So this is where they empower their women in terms of having how do I put it best? To ensure, like, just for having sustainable access to clean water. So within this project, some of them have dug wells where the community can come and get the water instead of now having it within their homesteads. So they have like a communal point of water access within their areas. I think that's the most that I have seen within Kenya so far. And maybe if I think of others, then I can still share.
That's a brilliant example about communal water sources. Thank you so much for sharing, Sharon, as well. Has anyone else got a question in the chat? Please pop it in there. We'll make sure we answer it. No? Okay, so we have one last question, and we're really big on building skills and empowering young people in our community of QS Impact. So I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry, both of you. Can you share with us 3 tips for any young women who is listening here today in this webinar for how to access or get into the STEM field? What are your 3 tips, maybe that have helped you on this journey, whether that's personal or professional? What would your tips be to a young woman who is aspiring to be like you? Dr. Agangiba, could you go first? Is that okay? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, the very first tip for me is self-motivation. I really think that is what has worked a lot for me. Like I indicated, physical disability, and I mean, it's had to take some time. Initially, the polio got me crippled at 5 years. I couldn't even walk and everything. And so there's a way people will look at you, even if you go to school as a child then. But if you kind of motivate yourself, hoping that one day, this the life will take shape and you have a more meaningful life. And I think that was an advice my dad of blessed memory gave me. He said, you just have to be focused. Somebody can motivate you. When the person is gone, you are left alone. You need to motivate yourself, right? So that's what I would tell every young lady. You need to motivate yourself. If you want to get into the STEM field, it doesn't matter what people are saying and how difficult people think their spaces. You have to have that self-motivation, and which can help to build your self-confidence, right? And then to consistency, you need to be very consistent. Mathematics it's not something you can go solve one math today and then solve mathematics after 1 year. It doesn't work. So if you're a young lady, you want to be in the STEM field, you have to make math a friend. And just using math as an example, because I know how a lot of people have phobia for that. But just to say that you should be very consistent with whatever you do, your learning and your desire, your dreams, you have to be consistent at pursuing them. That is very important. Once you have some sort of indecision, then something else will just sweep you away. Maybe you will even be unlucky to have one young guy sweet talking you, and then you fall on the side and everything is all about I have one lover, and you are not concentrating as a young person on your studies and on your dreams that you want to achieve. So self-motivation and also being very consistent. And you also have to be very outgoing. If I say outgoing, I know Sharon talked a lot about it. Be at places that can propel you to the next level. You should be at places that you can get a needed inspiration. Perhaps you should even through those places, look at somebody and say, this can be a role model, a mentor for me. It's not easy, people going around looking for mentees, but you can see somebody and deliberately approach the person and say, I want you to mentor me. You have to be outgoing, be out there, whatever that can enrich your knowledge, looking at the dream that you want to pursue. You have to be seen there. You have to be with the people that have got this kind of skills that you want to have in the future. Understand their language, talk their language, and I think that will give you a lot of inspiration and as well build your self-confidence. And definitely help you to achieve your dreams, because there you get to know a whole lot of opportunities that you might not be knowing when you go to such places, just like we are having now. I mean, somebody will get to know about this Bukola STEM scholarship and apply, and that's going to make a whole lot of impact in the individual's life.
Those are brilliant. I've also written them in the chat. That was such enthusiasm in your voice as well. So self-motivation, consistency, be outgoing and go out there. And it sounds to me like grasp the opportunity when you want to speak to someone, when you want to advance yourself, put yourself out there. And I think that's a really brilliant tip, especially for women in this space. Sometimes we feel like we're not meant to be here. We're not meant to be in this space. So kind of speaking and putting your actions further than the thoughts in your mind, or maybe what society wants of you. Try to just get out there, put your name out there and introduce yourself to people and advance yourself. Brilliant tips. I hope that summed up somewhat what you just said so perfectly. Sharon, do you have any tips as well for our audience, young women in STEM, especially in Africa?
Well, it seems like we were reasoning the same with Dr. Millicent, because I literally was sharing the same tips. One, of being passionate and building your interests within the particular STEM field that you have. And then, because you cannot do it alone, there are people who've gone before you. They have known the challenges, they have known the opportunities available. Then they can hold your hand and then get curious, get to learn more about what people are doing within your field of interest. If you get opportunities to do leadership trainings within the same field, if you get opportunities to do technological trainings, then still that could work. And also network a lot, because through your networks, then they say your network is your net worth. So you should also do networking a lot. Then you can also still build yourself within these areas. Thank you.
Brilliant quick fire tips. Love that. We'll repeat that quote as well, because it's something that we use a lot. Your network is your net worth. It's sometimes who you know, and how that door opens through those people and maybe those mentors. So brilliant sum up of today. Thank you everybody for joining. I'll just pass to the last slide. I want to encourage everybody here to definitely reflect on this valuable session. We'll be putting the session up on our YouTube if you'd like to look back on this and maybe keep reflecting on some of those tips and tricks. One of our big things at QS Impact, we're about building engagement and building young people with their skills and their impact to influence their communities. So please do stay in touch. If you want to join our community, there's a QR code here. We'll be having future webinars and tools and many different realms to help you build your skills and empower yourself. And don't forget, apply for the scholarship if you'll be studying in the next 12 months. There's resources online, and do reach out to us. I'm sure that Zoya can answer your questions. Thank you so much for coming. With a tradition in our webinars, we would like to do this one thing. We would like to have a picture. We are not in the room together because unfortunately we're online. So the way that we build community is kind of makeshift room. So if anyone can put on their cameras, what we'll do is we'll all come here and have a smile, and we'll post it wide on our LinkedIn and our social media to share the good word about what we've done today. So we welcome you. We've got Rob Clay here from the UK as well. Hi, Rob Clay. Supporting women in action here. If anyone else would like to put on their videos. Hi, Victoria. Nice to see you. Hilary, are you able to add your video in? Anyone else? I'll give you 10 seconds and then we'll be taking a picture. Hi there, Thierry. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Okay, everybody, we ready for a picture? Everyone get your cameras on. Smile. My voice absolutely cut off at the end there. One more for Jocelyn as well. One more, smile. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great day. We hope to see you in our community and stay engaged. Thank you so much to Dr. Agangiba and Sharon for your inputs today. They have been incredibly appreciated. And we hope everyone has a brilliant International Women's Day. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. Thanks, everybody. If you've joined late, it will be on our page. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye. Happy International Women's Day.